third day of the general debate at the 80th session of the United Nations General Assembly took place on Thursday at the organization's headquarters in New York. More on the day's addresses with our correspondent Jorge Gestoso.
Luis Arce, during his final address as President of Bolivia, delivered a very strong message at the United Nations General Assembly here in New York. The risk of a third world war is very near if the UN doesn't react on time. And President Arce mentioned that the US is seeking to regain control of Latin America.
The threat of death has made is covering Latin America and the Caribbean. Beyond violations of international law, this provocative action of imperialism has two intentions: to intervene into our kindred Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela, which possesses considerable natural resources, particularly in oil, which the North wishes to appropriate and claim. Secondly, to try to reconquer the Latin America and the Caribbean on the basis of it undermining liberal democracy, to impose militarization and to use other colonialist practices that we should call out.
Arce also called the U.S. claim that this military operation is meant to, quote, fight drug trafficking and combat organized crime, unquote, a fallacy, arguing that if they were true, they would begin tackling both problems in their own country. And on the regional situation, in addition to military actions, Luis Arce referred to the economic blockade against Cuba and the billions in losses caused by the unilateral measure from Washington against the Caribbean nation, spanning 6 decades due to, quote, the empire's rejection of the region's first socialist revolution. In his virtual address to the General Assembly today, because he was denied entrance to the United States, Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas forcefully condemned Israel's campaign in Gaza as constituting genocide and crimes against humanity.
By the Israeli occupation forces, in which they killed and injured more than 220,000 Palestinians, the majority of whom are unarmed children, women, and the elderly.
Abbas affirmed that the Palestinian Authority is prepared to assume full responsibility for security and governance in Gaza, insisting that Palestinians would not abandon their land or identity. Haiti's representative Laurent Saint-Cyr declared that, quote, Haiti is at war, unquote, emphasizing daily terror, bullets, fire, and fear, the destruction of neighborhoods, displacement over 1 million people, hospitals burned and vandalized, and a looming risk that the country's crisis will spill regionally.
It is critical to listen to the voice of the Haitian people to try new solutions that are stronger and more adapted to the realities on the ground.
Saint-Cyr said, quote, I'm ashamed on behalf of the world that we cannot find it in ourselves to be more compassionate to recognize what people in Haiti are going through. Mexico's Foreign Minister, Juan Ramón de la Fuente, reaffirmed Mexico's call for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza and its opposition to genocide.
The wars in Gaza, in Ukraine, and in all the other places that they're taking place must end now.
While also emphasizing that Mexico seeks a respectful, cooperative partnership with the U.S., one based on mutual sovereignty, shared interests like immigration, trade, security, and clear expectations rather than subordination. And Ecuador's President Daniel Noboa used his address to highlight Ecuador's challenges with crime and security, advocate for constitutional and institutional reforms, and appeal for international cooperation and investments to bolster development and stability. And at the end of this third day of debate here at the United Nations in New York, there's something more and more clear. The crisis needs unity.